If I got x to be 7.11, what would that mean? What would 7 mean? If I got x to be 7, what would that mean?
7 years.
7 years after 2000, the two populations would be equal, right? So in 2000, so what would 7.11 mean?
7 years and 11 months.
Well, 7 years and 0.11 of a year. So a little more than 1/10 of a year. So somewhere at the beginning of the year 2007, somewhere there the populations would match up. If I got 18.93, that would mean somewhere towards the end of the year 2018, their population would match up. So you don't have to get a whole number. You do, actually. They made it nice. You get a whole number answer. So if you get 11, don't tell me in the year 11. What? If you go back in time, no time travel. But you see how those problems are the same problem? They are the same problem. You have an initial amount, you know how much it changes by. You have an initial amount that I had to pay. How much it changes by is dependent on how much I try to buy. Right? Why was this plus? Because I'm increasing how much I have to pay if I actually go to the place and get stuff. Why is this a minus? Because I'm losing people. But they really are the exact same idea. There's an initial amount plus some other amount. Here it's minus just because I'm losing people. Okay. Maybe. That's a classic kind of word problem. Okay. Anything else from homework? Let's see. Oh, okay. All right. Let me do a problem like that because I don't want to end up doing all the homework for you. I said a hat costs $18, which includes an 8% markup. What was the cost before the markup? Same exact problem. It's just not the same problem. A hat costs $18, which includes an 8% markup. Find the cost before the markup. Now, the incorrect thing to do is to take 8% of 18 and subtract it. That's crazy. How did I get to $18? What did I take 8% of to get to $18? If I have a hat comes in, and I'm the hat store man, I'm going to say, I want to make some profit on this damn thing. I'm going to chunk up the price so I make some profit. Makes sense, right? That's how things work. So the hat has a cost when it comes to me. I mark that up by 8%. So now the price is $18. What did I take 8% of to get to 18?
8% of the original price.
Original price, which is what? I don't know. So my unknown is the original price. So how did I get to $18? It cost a certain amount. I added on top of that 8% of what it cost to get to $18. So it cost a certain amount. I added on top of that, what? 8% of what?
Increase or market. Oh, 8% X.
Of what it was. I like it. If you just write this, you added 8 cents. You ain't staying open long. Right? 8-cent profit. Woo-hoo-hoo. 2 more weeks and I could afford the Sunday paper. Right? So it's 8% doesn't make a damn bit of sense by itself. It's got to be 8% of something. Of what it was. And where do I end up if I do that? If I take the original and I add 8% of it, I end up at 18, the amount that I sold it for. And what is 1x plus 0.08x?
1.08.
Beautiful. Don't nobody tell me 0.09x. right? That's not how decimals work. 1x plus 0.08x is 1.08x, and then you just divide by what you don't want. X equals whatever the hell that is. Right. I don't know what that is. All right, nobody's going to help me out, so nobody knows. Too bad. So if you divide that, you'll see what the original cost was. So I want to remind you guys about something. Not only will I help you in class when you ask questions, but I have these things called office hours where you can come by. I know I'm being a bit of but I don't see any of you guys in my office. I'm in my office hours. They're only for students. If you have trouble with the homework, you come see me. And I know a lot of you guys are having trouble with the homework. And what do you want to do with this class? You want to pass this class because you have a great opportunity. If you pass this class, you've saved money, you've saved time because you don't have to take those other 2 classes. It's beautiful. You have a lot of motivation to pass this class. Some of you guys don't seem to me to be doing what you need to do to pass this class. Sorry. Sure.
I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Not just out of curiosity. Why isn't there a lab attached to this class for the people that may be a little confused? Or is this class supposed to be like you already have everything is ready?
No. This class is supposed to be you're ready for Math 90. So everything we've done so far has been like something you could do in the Math 90 course. We added some statistics stuff. Right? We added some statistics stuff in just to get you ready if you wanted to take stats. And if you're taking 120, there is a stats part of that too. And that wasn't that intense. I didn't mean it to be. It was just subtracting and squaring and adding. It wasn't really that intense, right?
Yeah.
So everything we've done so far is at the Math 90 level, to be honest. So if you come into this class, the prerequisite is you've taken Math 88 or you placed in the 90. And then, so we don't have a lab attached to 90. What we have is supplemental instruction. We don't do, certain schools do things like adding labs onto every math course, which is just a way to increase instructor pay without doing other things. It's a little bit shady. Yeah, I just said that. Yeah. There might be some colleges close by in the same district now that does that kind of thing. But we don't do that kind of thing. We already have help that we don't have to pay our instructors for because it's there. It's already paid for, right? So that's why I don't have a lab attached. If I had a lab attached, that would require more time from you. It'd be a higher unit cost. You would pay more for the class, but that doesn't make any sense. You've already paid for the tutoring and everything else. So that's the lab. You got my office hours, so it's more one-on-one time instead of everybody at once asking too many questions, right? So, 31,366.
The second thing on that.
Yes.
Isn't there 289 at night?
298. Shirley Pereira is teaching the other 298, and if I remember correctly, it's in the afternoon. It starts at 12. There's only 2 sections of this we're running this semester since it's brand new. We just wanted to try it out.
Who's a better teacher?
What's up?
No,
I think that I've had Shirley, and I think that you explain everything 100 times better than anyone would.
No, I'm just asking because I might get a new job and I wanted to see if I could switch.
Oh, I see what you mean. That would have been nice, but no, we don't have any 298s in the evening time. There's only 2 sections, so there weren't enough to make sure there were some evening ones, yeah. But you know, like I said, 2 things. If you have to drop this course early, you could then take the placement test again. You can actually retake the placement test, and maybe what you've gone through will get you a higher score. Maybe not. Or if you fail this course, like I said before, you guys, you could take the placement test again still, and maybe you picked up enough from this course to place you at the next level, so you can save some time still. What I would hate if somebody failed this course and then they have to go back and start at 90, Or take this course again and fail again. Oh my God, that would so suck. All right, so that was some of the concerns we had with a course like this is, will it end up adding money and time to a student's burden already? Right, so we didn't want that to happen. It will happen sometimes, but not. We didn't want it to happen too much. All right. I know. So let's bring it back down to content within the class. Anything else from homework stuff? Still. Yes. So remember, if you're not getting the grades you hoped for, you've got to analyze, well, what have you been doing to get ready for the test? What have you been doing? Control what you can control. Now, I remember in college, I did not get a bunch of A's. I got a bunch of B's, a bunch of C's, and then some A's in there, because what was Jeff doing? Jeff was working 3 freaking jobs, paying his own way through college, right? I'm not going to talk too much about going uphill both ways and bullshit, but I mean, I couldn't finish every project. I couldn't finish all the homeworks, but what I did was I made sure I understood what was going on, and I did well on the tests. But I got great grades on tests, but there were some projects I just didn't turn in, some homework I didn't finish. You guys kind of with me? So I used to consider my report cards had a lot of personality, right? Right? And not to totally shit on myself. I got some decent grades at the end, kicked some ass, did pretty well. Yay, Jeff. But, exactly, you do what you got to do to get ready for the test. If that means not to do every single homework problem I assign, we already had this discussion, didn't we? The most important thing is get ready for the test. If you can't finish every single homework problem I assigned, let it go. Don't take a test without doing problems from every section that's on the test. I hate that when I hear somebody say, I didn't know how to do the problem at all because I didn't do any of the problems in the homework. What? I ran out of time. No, impossible. Stop doing it in section whatever and go to the next section if you're running out of time. I'll be all like, finish this. What's wrong with you? And you know, Jeff, whatever, man. This is you taking control of your own education and understanding what's most important. Yes?
But can we get credit for the homework that we did instead of not getting credit if you miss one section or like one problem?
How do you mean? I'm sorry.
Because you said if you don't do the homework, then you don't get credit in the whole section.
Oh, you can turn in what you've done.
Right.
If I say finish, that means you've got half credit. You know when I say correct at the top of homework or finish, you've got half credit. That is quite a bit more than 0 credit, right? Now, if there's too much you left out, I might say no credit, finish for credit or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
But if you do enough, I'll say just finish or correct. That means you got half credit. So if you don't have time to go back, at least you got half credit, not 0 credit. Are you with me? I try to make it fair. If I make homework worth nothing, nobody does it. I don't blame it. If I make homework worth too much, everybody cheats. So it's got to be a sweet spot where a few people cheat, a few people don't do it, but most people actually... All right, enough of that. Let's get back into actual content. Is there anything else from homework before we go on? Last time we did inequalities. I might start off with a couple problems, make sure everybody's on the same page. All right. Yep. Let's try those out. Once you get a 1 there, you're done with the solve. Yeah. Because the 1 doesn't even have to be good. Oh, yeah. Come in here, Ashley, Brittany, Jonas, Raza. Well, zoom in. Two things. You didn't divide by negatives, so there's no reason you should, and you don't have to divide. That won't change it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Flip. Cool.
so that was on the right track.
Yeah, you just went too far with it. All right, let me catch up to you guys. What'd you do here?
Subtract it.
And how'd you graph it?
Closer.
So you put a 9 on there, maybe put 8 down there, and a 10 up there, sure.
Closer.
Close circle, shade. Do you little that? Okay. All right. This guy is got a little bit more to it, but of course you first use this. I like it. Careful. Okay, -3, -4, -7. I'm already down 3. I'm down 3. I go down 4 more, I'm down 7. Okay.
On the 7x. Sorry, man.
Yeah, okay, let me go with this, and then I'm going to show you a different way to do it. So I heard subtract x. Subtract 6. And then divide by. And we're dividing by negative, so what's got to happen? Good, it's got to flip. And then if you reduce 12 over 8, the negatives, of course, cancel. Yeah, 3 over 2. I like it. I'm going to stop there for a second. And then how do I graph that? 3/2 is in between what? 1 and 2, right? Because it's 1.5, right? So you're going to put an open circle, I like it, and then shade to the right. Is this pointed to the right? Now, real quick. I showed you a mathematical reason. I'm going to show you a different mathematical reason, but why I've got to flip that inequality symbol, right? It's a very simple idea. -2 is less than 1, but 2 is greater than -1. So the inequality symbol flips. It just does. So just remind you guys, if you weren't here, -2 is definitely smaller than 1. But if I divide by -1, the relationship has changed. So if you divide or multiply by negatives, you've changed the relationship. The order changes. You've got to flip that symbol. Another way to look at this is right here. Clayton, I don't know if this is what you were trying to say. I could just add 7x so that my x's become positive. Now, if I do that, I better end up with the same answer, or else screw everything. It's not good.
Well, you'll just get 12 is
12 is less than
8x.
8x.
But now all you have to do is just flip the whole thing around.
So you get 3/2. If 3/2 is less than x, x must be greater than. So that's those two say the same thing. I just turn it around. So I did get the same answer. So either I don't move it to the other side of the symbol, so the symbol's got to flip, or I do move it to the other side of the symbol. This is another reason why dividing by negative has got to flip it, because I could have just moved the whole damn thing to the other side. Okay, maybe. And then I would still graph it the same way. Okay, cool. So that's section 2.6. Let's get back into chapter 3. So just like a number line here is for one variable, I just put another number line on top of it for the second variable. And we use this kind of thing. Often this is described backwards. But we use this idea on the surface of the Earth. Then they're known as latitude and longitude, right? So that's the example. You can also think, if you're into astronomy at all, there's something called right ascension and declination, which sounds weird, but it's just how to find stars, and it uses the same idea. You go up and you go over, and there's a star, yay. It's a little bit more complicated because everything's freaking moving, but it still uses the same idea of how to locate things in 2 dimensions. I like it. Now, of course, a star is not 2-dimensional, but I can still say it's there. I don't care how far away it is. I can still say go up this much and go over that much, and there's the star. Look at it. All right, let me stop there for a second. So this idea of using a grid to locate things is independent of, this or any specific usage of it. It's just an idea that we used. How do I use this, though? Where would the point, let me call this point A, the point 1, 3. Where is that point? Yeah, what do these parts mean? What does that first part reference? I like it. It's always alphabetical order, unless otherwise stated. So this is X, Y. And I look at it as a series of instructions. So if you've ever been to Salt Lake City, I went there once. It's remarkably raw, right? So how do you get there? You go up 3 and you go over 2. Back in Virginia, we had roads that intersected themselves, so it didn't really work quite that well, right? Yes, it's the intersection of it with itself. Well, that's where I was, okay, well, shit. But I look at this as instructions. If I go 1 block over and 3 blocks up, I end up at whatever the hell it is. So this tells me, and where am I starting? It's amazing that we call it a certain word. It tells me that I'm starting there. What do I call this point here? The origin, because that's where all other points originate from. So point really is just a series of instructions. So where is the point A? It's 1 block over. Let me put a little scale for us. One block over and 3 blocks up, so it'll be right there. I like it. So that's like a boat out at sea. Like, please help us. Where are you? We're 1 thing over and 3 things over from where you are. They would use latitude, longitude, and they would use all the way down to minutes and seconds. So if you've ever been navigating at sea, you know what I'm talking about. There's some headings in there and shit like that. All right. So where would the point -2, 5 be? Yeah, it says go back 2, and then go up 5. For some reason, people go down, but the 5 is not negative; it's positive. So I go up, bam. So let's call that point B. Here's A. Here's B. Please, dear God, label your points in some way. If you're having several points on one graph, you want to be kind to the person grading your work. Okay. So is everybody decently cool with this? We call this ordered pair. Why? Because there's 2 of them and the order matters. So we said, let's call it ordered pair. We call these the components. We call these the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate of the point. How many parts did I break this up into when I drew this? 4. So we call these quadrants. And just to be different, we decided to go counterclockwise. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's special about every point in quadrant 3? Can somebody tell me? Anything? They're both negative. I like the odds thing. That's cool. Every point that's in quadrant 3, both coordinates are negative. So forth. I like it. So if I asked you, what quadrant is the point 4, -7 in?
4.
Yeah. Over, down, quadrant 4. Bam. You don't have to plot it. You can just think about where would it end up. I like it. I like it. Cool. And this really, just to let you know, this gets interesting. This is only one way to find a point. I can tell somebody, go this much over, and then go this much up. I don't want to freak out too much, but there's so many other ways to find a point. Could I tell the person, let's pretend like I'm standing right there, right? And the point I'm trying to get to is point A. So point A is over there. Are you with me? So I could go 1 step, and then turn, and then go 3 steps, and then I'm at A. There's A. Yeah, I'm there. I made it. Right? And then I dig, and then just try. Or I could say, all right, turn by this much, and then go this far straight out, and then you end up at A. Does that make sense? So if I said turn by this much, and then you walk straight out, you still end up at A, don't you? So X, Y is not the only way to locate points. There are other what's called coordinate systems. This is one coordinate system. Thankfully, this is the only one we're going to use. Don't freak out too much. The other one is something to do with the angle that I would turn and then how far I have to walk.
Wouldn't that be slope?
It's related to slope. It's not quite exactly slope, but it's related. I like it. Cool. This is more related to slope, right? Over 1, up 3. That sounds like slope. Cool. I like it. I like
Are
it.
you ready, slow?
Oh yeah. Aw. All right. So that kind of lays the groundwork. Now, before we get into graphing full equations, we need to talk about something called functions. The last thing we'll do today. Oh shit. Functions. So the main thing with a function is, one way to look at it, this isn't exactly perfect, but it gets pretty close. It's a good way to think about it. A function has to be something that can make sense in real life. So if I said, all right, I throw a ball, where is it 3 seconds later? And you tell me it's 20 feet in the air and it's 17 feet below the ground. What the hell kind of ball is that? Right? There can only be one output for every input. So if you ask me 4 seconds, it's at one place. If you ask me 5 seconds, it's at another place. Are you with me? All right, so for every input, for every question, at time 3, there can be only one output. Height off the ground. At time 3, it's at 20 feet high. Right? So this is the definition of a function. It actually relates to making sure that it makes physical sense. If I ask you what size